Let's go to Penn State then.
So, man, this is such a hard team to break down ever because I'm going to be super blunt here, but for lack of better way to put it, they have two big games on the schedule. I mean, it's obvious, right? You have Michigan, you have Ohio State. Sometimes you'll have that third being Michigan State, but they haven't been recently. I think they were 5-7 last year. So whatever. The problem is when you drop those two games, you're now irrelevant. You're a 10-2 team that can't make the Big Ten championship, and you're irrelevant, right? I'll put air quotes on that for those listening.
That's exactly what happened last year.
Yeah.
They were a 10-2 team who were in our top 10 power rankings or power ratings at the end of the year, but wasn't getting any national love.
Yeah, they can't win the two games, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know how many teams in college football can't beat Ohio State and Michigan? I mean, there's tons.
Most of them.
Yeah, like 95% of them. Yeah. There's probably 4 or 5 teams in college football that can beat both of them. So, I mean, yeah, dude, like they're great. Even if they were the 5th best team in college football this year, they still would have been ranked lower than those two teams.
Yep.
So I'm giving them their grace. But at the same time, right, you got to beat at least one of them.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about for them to make real noise, for them to hit the playoffs, for them to get to that Big Ten championship, because obviously at that point I very strongly believe they'd beat whoever's on the other side. They would have killed Iowa this year, whatever. So that sucks for them. That's a hard team to break down because all you really start to talk about, and it sucks that the Big Ten is this way and it won't be for long, is like, oh, okay, let's talk about Penn State. You think they beat Ohio State this year? Oh, okay. You think they beat Michigan? All right, cool. Let's move on. Like, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But that's the pigeonhole that we have them in.
Whereas if they were in the Pac-12, we'd be talking about them a lot differently.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what can they do against a team like UCLA? I don't know how they match up. But it's like, no, they're going to win their 2 big games? No, they didn't last year. I don't think they will again. Sucks. 10-2. And, like, you can just stamp them 10-2 and move on. Like, 10-2
ceiling.
is
10-2 ceiling.
Yeah, but, like, yeah. I mean, 10-2 is freaking great.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, that's, you know what I mean? Like, God, it just sucks. But anyway, this is a horrible segue. But with that being said, I think people are too high on Penn State. I mean, with all that being said, I think their team profiles pretty well.
That's not a bad segue. Like what you said leading into it, maybe
right.
It might have been a little deceiving, but they're top 5 in a lot of people's rankings.
Yeah, I think that's too high. I don't think they're out of the top 15. I just don't think they're a top 5 team. A lot of people have them above Ohio State, and back to what I was saying with that pigeonhole we put them in, I don't think they win either of those 2 big games. Mm-hmm. So obviously Sean Clifford's gone. I don't know a ton of Penn State fans, but the ones I do are not super mad about that because of Drew Allar stepping in.
Yeah.
Drew Allar is definitely more athletic. He's bigger. He's a bigger arm, so I think obviously that's nice. I don't know if that makes him better. I don't know if that makes him a better quarterback. Sean Clifford had that moxie.
Come on now.
Come on, baby. He had that moxie to him. I think that would be where that word comes in. He kind of had that swag, that like locker room leadership. Like I think you're missing that because you do have a sophomore stepping in. Now, with that being said, I don't think it's going to be production-wise a giant step back. You still have massive 1-2 punch in the backfield. Nicholas Singleton and his name is slipping my mind. Katron Allen are both nuts in the backfield. They went crazy last year. They're going to go crazy again. I don't know. What I want this segment to be is about those 2 teams, and I just said that it's dumb that that's the case, but I'm like wanting to talk about comparing them to Michigan and Ohio State.
Yeah.
But I'll let you kind of touch on them first.
Well, no, I'm going to do what you said.
Okay,
so,
you got it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to do about it.
So here's the thing, right? I look at Nicholas Singleton and I say he's a fantastic running back. He's probably a top 10. No, he's a top 10 running back in college football this year. Sure. He's going to be. He's not Blake Corum.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
You look at Katron Allen, man, that's a 1-2 punch. I mean, they could almost both go for, one will go for 1,000, the other will go for like 800. That's awesome. Blake Corum might go for 1,800 himself. By the way, Donovan Edwards exists.
Yeah.
So we're right back to square one. Okay, well, that kind of sucks. We talk about 1-2 punch. We have Mayan Williams and Trayvon Henderson's gone. I'm trying to think of the other gentleman's name. Anyway, you have a great 1-2 punch in Ohio State. Well, look, going back to Michigan now, we'll go to the quarterback, right? We have a new quarterback stepping in, Drew Allar. I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback, but he's not J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
You have a great offensive line at Penn State. This is going to be one of their better offensive line years in the past probably 10 years. You have 4 starters coming back. They had a great O-line last year. You have 4 starters coming back. What about the team that just won the Joe Moore Award twice?
Yeah.
Their backups, and I mean this, Michigan's backup offensive line could start at 99% of D1 colleges.
Yeah.
Out of D1 FBS colleges. Like, they are so stupid at the O-line. I mean, they're so good.
Yeah.
So, again, like, all of those, and, like, you talk about, like, the secondary, Michigan's going to have a better defense, period, end of story. That's not even going to be close.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, all of these strong points, you just get trumped.
Yeah.
Like, Penn State's probably going to have a better defense than Ohio State, right? But it's not going to matter because Ohio State's offense is going to be so much better. Michigan's going to be better than them on both sides of the ball. So, we're right back to square one, how I opened this conversation. You have a 10-2 ceiling, in my opinion, and it sucks because you just can't do anything about it. That's how the SEC was for a long time. You had a couple of teams that were kind of running it, but you always are having those teams shoot up into that upper echelon, and then they kind of shoot back down, right? Like, you don't really get that in the Big Ten, which just I hate that.
But here's the thing. Okay, so we're talking about Penn State and saying they're right there. They're just a tier below Ohio State and Michigan. So what happens? They get one of those wins. Well, now immediately, mid-season, late in the season, they have a win over either Ohio State or Michigan.
Right.
Well, now the conversation switches. It's, okay, can Penn State play into the playoffs? Can they win a national championship? And that's a real conversation.
It is.
Right? They're not far. But I think until they can get that win, their recruiting isn't going to see the uptick that it needs.
That's right.
And then from, it just trickles down from there. They have to get that win to make the jump.
I absolutely agree. You have the same situation, and it's crazy because you see it even at a higher level. Ohio State needs to beat Michigan to get that recruiting uptick.
Yeah.
We literally saw a recruiting like whirlwind after that game.
Yeah.
So like even it's so funny because Michigan's always got a top, I'll let you call it 5-7 class, somewhere in that range. Ohio State
closer to 10-15.
Right. So but they're right. So they're up there, right? Ohio State's kind of nestled in there as well. They're usually a little bit higher in that probably 5 to 10 range. Well, then you have Penn State below that, right?
Yeah.
You have them like it almost looks like
not far below.
Right. It almost looks like the rankings. Well, that could easily switch if you start winning these games.
Yeah.
Like, bro, it's just so crazy to think about because that's the reality. You got to win at least one. You got to win at least one.
And it's not to be a downer on Penn State. They could very easily play in a New Year's Six bowl game,
no doubt,
and win it.
No doubt,
and win it in dominant fashion. Like they're a very, very good football team. But if we're looking at them from the perspective of can this team play into the playoffs, is there a way for them to do it? Yeah, but it's go through those two teams, and so we have to compare them.
Yeah, yeah, and that's it. That's the reality, and it's going to be that way for the very, very easily foreseeable decade or two. That's just how it's going to be, and not to mention
college football can change so fast, though. I think we're looking at the next couple of years guaranteed. But
for sure.
But I'm not going to say decade.
I mean, Michigan and Ohio State have been good it's been a minute now. Now Michigan State's kind of been doing that, like I was talking about in the SEC. Like Michigan State's kind of been doing their little pogo stick, I guess you can call it. God forbid they swing back. I mean,
but even that, Ohio State was on a several-year run against Michigan. Michigan's now won 2 in a row, but before they could get that win, we weren't talking about Michigan this way.
That's true. But now that Harbaugh's there, right? Like as long as Harbaugh's there, in my opinion, they'll be up there. Ohio State's just got the talent, right? Like, is Ryan? Well, again, different segment. But is Ryan Day the answer? I don't know. But they're competitive. I mean, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with you at least for the next 5 years. But that's the thing. Penn State's been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just sucks because I do believe they're a top. Let me be careful. I believe they're a top 15 team this year. I do. If I did my way too early, whatever it is, like they would be in my top 15. But again, you just got to beat them. It sucks, but that's how you do it.
Yeah, so. No, and that's the way it is. And like I said, this is a team that could go play in and win a New Year's Six bowl game. And, can they go and beat those teams? Yeah. They can.
For sure.
Anybody can beat anybody. I mean, we saw that. We saw Marshall beat Notre Dame, and then we saw Notre Dame beat Clemson. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Like, it can happen.
App State beat friggin' A&M, yeah.
It can happen. And I think that, obviously, the gap's a lot closer than those games.
Of course.
But Look, man, I don't know. Like I said, until that win happens, until Penn State can make that jump and beat one of those teams, they're just going to be the third team in that division.
Yeah, and not to mention last year, right? I think it was a 13-point game with Ohio State. They kept it close-ish. Dude, they got the floors mopped with them from Michigan. 41-17, I believe it was. Like, they got murked. So, like, I mean, if nothing freaking else, bro, keep it close for the recruits. Like, I mean, the recruits, obviously they're expecting you to win every year, but, like, damn it, don't get blown out, bro.
I feel like we're giving off energy that Penn State's a bad football team, and that's not the case.
Yeah, no.
It's not the case. Like you said, and I agree with you. I think they're a top 15 team in the country. I just also happen to think they're the third best team in that division.
Right.
And so it makes it real difficult to compete for a national championship.
And that's the thing that's funny, too. Not the the conference as well, right? But the division.
Yeah.
That sucks, but.
Yeah. Thanks for watching that clip. You can check out another in the top left-hand corner or the bottom right-hand corner. You can always subscribe as well to this channel or to Cards and Culture. That's linked as well. That's going to be our long-form content.
Yeah, make sure to check out the Discord in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, and we can keep this thing free forever.